Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jeff Adams. I'm going to be your host. If you're serious about real estate investing, if you're in business or want to be in business, there is billions of dollars by way of government grants and subsidies available right now that we as investors and entrepreneurs can use to fund many of our deals. This free government money has been around for decades, but if you don't know where to look or where to find it, then you do not have the key to unlock this giant money vault. Well, I have great news. There is someone who has figured out how and where to get this money. His name is Chris Johnson, and Chris has been teaching Americans how to find and access this free money for many years. To date, Chris Johnson has coached over 12,000 students how to do it with a staggering success rate. Listen to this. Chris Johnson's students are so successful with what he teaches that he gets about one success story per day from his students, sometimes for thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, Chris became the most sought-after expert on this subject in the country. He's in high demand from investor groups and organizations from all across the country because of his knowledge. He has regularly shared the stage with guys like Donald Trump, Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Rudy Giuliani, Susie Orman, and many of the top financial and business experts in the country. Now, Chris Johnson is here on the call to teach you how to unlock this incredible money vault known as the U.S. government. If you can use some free money, we're about to learn exactly how to get it. So make sure you grab out a pen and paper, get ready to be amazed, get ready to take some notes, and let's bring Chris Johnson on the line here tonight to share his success. Now, Chris, welcome to the call tonight.
Thanks, Jeff, and I appreciate you having me on here. I noticed that you didn't say your name when you're rattling off all those big names there, so we can include you in there, too.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Well, I'll tell you what, I've known you for a lot of years now. I've met a lot of your students all across the country. I've been trying to get you on a webinar now here for about at least 2 or 3 years. I'm really glad that you can make it, and I'm really glad for you to come on and share your information here tonight. Now, Chris, let me ask this question. Why is it you're so successful at getting grant money for people like my clients and others, and how did you get into this?
Well, good question, Jeff. Thanks for asking, and thanks for having me on, and welcome everyone who's on the webinar right now and listening in. And, you know, it's interesting, this world of grants, because this money has been around for, like you said, Jeff, decades. And everyone's heard of grants. Most people are confused by them. They're kind of mysterious. People, I think, are intimidated by them a lot. They have heard about grants, but they've maybe heard some horror stories about paperwork or just trying to zero in and find stuff where you saw that guy with a question mark on his suit bouncing around on late night TV or something. You thought, oh, there's no free money for me out there. And the reality is, what happened with me was probably about 10 years ago, Jeff. I was fairly new at real estate investing then, and I was doing deals. I was doing single-family properties and various types of investments. And a mentor friend of mine, who a lot of people might know, but he's well known in the real estate world, and we won't talk about that, but he's basically told me about government grants as a way I could get into investing more profitably in my deals. And again, I was myself intimidated by the grant world, but I dug into them and I began to learn about programs and found out that these programs are real. They're out there. They're in massive quantities. And I guess I kind of just got the bug. I just kind of got really itching to find out more about them, and I was digging more into these grant programs, and I found out there's all kinds of grants from all levels of government, not just federal, but the state level, the counties, the cities and towns across America. And what was really interesting was I found that the lower level governments, the counties and the cities, have got multiple millions of dollars of grant funding that most people don't even know about that exist, that most people can utilize in their day-to-day investing. So if you're listening right now in this webinar and you're a real estate investor, you're doing deals right now, or you're looking at doing deals, if you're maybe new at this, you'll find that these programs are quite varied and they're out there. I was quite intrigued. I began to uncover lots of programs, and I was telling a few of my investing friends and colleagues about them, and they began to tell me how they were getting grant money in a real quick turnaround time, about a month or two, or maybe some cases a week or two, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And I guess somebody told one of those real estate club organizations about me, and they invited me to speak to the members. And I gladly accepted. I went out there and I gave a little talk on grant funding. And they began to write back to me how they're getting all kinds of grant money based on that one speech I gave. And I just went in there not really prepared. I just talked about programs I'd uncovered. And this, of course, is more than 8 years ago now. And then I was sitting at home one day, and some people phoned me who represent Donald Trump in New York. And they asked me to fly to New York and speak to many thousands of people in the audience and speak alongside of people like you mentioned there, Rudy Giuliani and Susie Orman and and others like that. And I was quite amazed that they called little old me, but they called me. I went out there, and they actually invited me back. And Jeff, I think it's actually where you and I met, is speaking with Donald Trump and people like that on their big stages. I think, if my memory serves me correctly there.
Absolutely. That was actually a tour that we did. It was crazy. Like every weekend out speaking 5, 6, 7 times during that big real estate bubble. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a fun time for sure. And, you know, I know that they invited us back many, many times. I think it was about 23 times they got invited back over a 3-year period. I said to them, why do you guys keep inviting me back? I mean, I appreciate it. This is great. And they told me it's because what I was teaching was working so well. So many of their clients were getting grants. They didn't know any other place to go to teach them this information except for me. And so basically that caused me to become a professional educator on grant funding. And I've literally raised millions of dollars for real estate investors and business owners and even people looking for a free education. And that's been kind of fun. And if you fast forward to today, like you mentioned in the introduction there, thank you very much, we get contacted almost daily from one of our students who we've introduced to different grant programs, who gets grant money. And our average client receives on their very first application over $25,000. That's average. So some are more, some are less. But if you are feeling average and you're watching this webinar right now, and you take really good notes, and I'll show you some websites and I'll show you some different programs as we go through here, and just follow through the information, you'll be successful getting a grant. So Jeff, why don't I start and just go through some slides and show people different kinds of programs and kinds of opportunities that are out there. Sound good?
Sounds awesome. Let's do it.
All right. So basically, here's some questions I've got for the viewers right now. Is if you are perhaps someone who's in business. Now, it could be a real estate business. There's money out there for business. So there's money to start a business. For example, $100,000 is not an uncommon amount. You'll find that we see people getting larger amounts than that, some over $1 million. But this is actually a pretty huge amount of money for a lot of people watching right now. You might say, why would the government give that kind of money away? Well, the answer is the government has to remain viable. They have to do something to stimulate the economy and create the jobs. And so there's all kinds of incentives. Now, when you go to the government and you ask for government grants and free money, you don't ask for free money when you go to the government office. You say, what kind of incentive programs are there for business owners for economic stimulation? And so it's the word incentive is what the government actually calls it, whereas you and I would call it free money because we don't have to pay these back. They're non-repayable government grants, and they're for all kinds of things. And so we've seen clients get larger amounts than that over the years, which is kind of fun. So real estate investing, or any business for that matter, also education. You might say, well, Chris, what's education got to do with real estate investing? Well, I think most real estate investors who I talk to on a day-to-day basis usually have someone in their life, it's either a kid, a teenager, or even a grandchild perhaps, who's looking to go to college or university, and that's expensive. Those costs are skyrocketing. My company, my office, we're on track right now to put 1,000 kids through college or university completely for free. We haven't hit that milestone yet. We're in the hundreds right now, but we've helped hundreds of kids get that educational cost paid for without a dime out of their pocket. And these are kids, in many cases, who would have been able to afford to even go. And so if you're real estate, I think it's cool, Jeff, when you think about this, because there's, with the economy as it is right now, one of the things that gets put on hold is those educational needs, because families just simply don't have the budget to pay for those costs, or they take out student loans, and those are gruesome because they follow you around for decades.
Yep,
so
yep.
Even if you have student loans, we help people get rid of them. There's 4 ways to get those written off, and I'll talk about that in a second here. And of course, real estate. So there's money for property acquisition, any kind of real estate property, commercial, residential, you name it. It could be single family, multifamily. There's a lot of money for repairs, remodeling, renovation work, etc. There's everything from energy upgrades and more. And so as we go through here, and I'll talk about these different ideas, here's a couple of different examples of the kinds of government grant programs that you can receive, complements of federal, state, and local governments. Renovation, paying for remodeling. So if you're a fixer-upper, if you buy and fix up and sell properties, this can make your deals a lot more profitable. There's money here, and it's not just for rental properties. It could be for your own home, too. Money for your business. Jeff, I know that you've got a big office, lots of staff. There's money for wage subsidies. We've got wage subsidies for my employees in my office. I know that you take advantage of different kinds of programs that the government offers as well. There's money for vehicles, even computers. And my wife and I put in $20,000 in brand new computer equipment a couple of years ago into our office. That's the kind of cost you can get covered by these government grant programs. Paying monthly bills, starting a new business, expanding when you got, like I mentioned earlier, college, university. The list goes on and on. And what's nice is this money is always increasing. It's never gone down in any single year in the last century. They started over 100 years ago, and they've increased the number of programs. They've increased the number of amount of money, I should say, every single year. Currently, federally, almost 2,300 programs. I believe it's 2,290-something programs right now. It changes daily. They're adding new programs continuously. If you go to the state level, adding all the different states together. Now, if you live in California, obviously you'd go to the state of California. If you live in New York, you go to the state of New York. But basically, when you add up all the state programs together, we're approaching 20,000 programs there. And the cities and the counties, tens of thousands more. Jeff, I think you'd agree, a lot of programs here, yes?
Oh, absolutely. That's why you're on the call here tonight.
Well, what's interesting is it doesn't even end at the government. You might say there's more grant programs besides government grant programs. There's a lot. If you go outside the government, there are programs in the private sector, private foundations, over 30,000 foundational grants. A lot of education, yes, but a lot of real estate and business programs are there, plus the scholarship programs, which is mostly education, certainly, but these are private companies. So you can Google any company, like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, IBM, Apple, Microsoft, you name it, any company, and the word scholarship in Google, you'll pull up their scholarship program. Oprah has scholarships. David Letterman has scholarships. People don't realize the sheer volume. This is one of the reasons that we put so many kids through college for free, is because they simply have no clue how many opportunities there are out there. And what's interesting is these programs target, in many cases, specified demographic groups. For example, elderly people, low-income people. They sometimes target entrepreneurs, sometimes target investors, homeowners, veterans. We get a lot of veterans on the call here. We've actually helped people get a lot of money for veterans. A lot of our clients have in that case. We've seen money for people who are disabled, minority groups. So even though there's lots of money targeting specified groups, you might say, well, do I belong to a group? Well, the answer is you do. If you are on the webinar right now, I want you to be understanding something very clearly, which is you qualify for hundreds of different grants. You might say, well, how do I know that, Chris Johnson? How would you, Chris, even know that I qualify for all this grant money? That's a good question to ask. And the reason, or the answer is I've been teaching this now full-time for 8 years. And what I've found is I've yet to meet a client of mine who I cannot find a grant for. There's grant money for everybody out there, and it's usually in the hundreds of programs. The key part is finding out which program is right for you, because, Jeff, you've got people from all walks of life on the call, people who are doing different kinds of investing, not necessarily real estate, but a lot of real estate investors, different kinds of real estate deals. Everyone on this call right now qualifies for something, and the key is how do you find out which program's right for you. And I'm going to go through here in this webcast and show you all kinds of cool stuff and websites, etc. But what's really interesting is if you take really good notes and you follow through, and of course, with any webinar you watch or any educational seminar or event, whether it's an online one like right now, the webinar, or you go to a live class somewhere, follow through is key. And if you don't follow through on the information, you're not going to get a grant here. If you don't follow through on Jeff's training, you're not going to get some real estate deals and make yourself rich. If you go home and take a nap and watch American Idol, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you follow through and do what I say on this webcast, you will get a grant. And if you're my average client, it will be $25,000 within about 2 months. You might say, well, how do I know it's 2 months? It's not going to be 2 months for sure. We sometimes see them get approved as little as a week. Sometimes it takes 3 months. But our average client is 2 months, slightly over $25,000. And so therefore, I think you'd agree that that's pretty awesome. And many of my clients,
what? I can tell you that the listeners on the call tonight could use an extra $25,000. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, you know what? People are pretty skeptical, and I get that. And people are thinking, yeah, right. I mean, I've heard this kind of stuff before. But the answer is, I get the letters I get, Jeff, and I'll show you a couple here in a minute, are clients who say, Chris, I didn't believe it would be true. I was amazed. It was as simple, like you said. It just matter of sending the application form in. Sometimes there's maybe a callback or an interview required. but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. The government has got the money, and the funding agency's job is to give the money away. And therefore, they've got maybe $10 million of grant money they have to give out. And they go through the applications, and they give it out oftentimes first come, first served. Sometimes it's better application, but it's kind of fun to be able to show people how this all works. So the bottom line is this. Follow through, you will get a grant. There's no reason why you should not get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 or more in the next couple of months following through on this webinar information. And that's pretty exciting. So let's go through here, and I'll show you what this is basically like. Here's an example. So I'm showing this to you as an example of what can happen for you. This is not that exciting. This is not hundreds of thousands, not 50,000. This is only 10,000. It's less than half of my average client. Rob and Alicia, nice couple, real estate investors, and that's the key part. So they're doing a real estate investing deal, and they came to me for some help. I went and found them the grant. I said, here's the grant, send the application in here. They did. A couple weeks later, a $10,000 check showed up. And so, of course, they say, thank you very much, very standard testimonial type letter here. But what happens is this. In real estate, there's an inspector that comes and says, you've been approved for this grant, and they typically give you about 12 months to get the work done. That's not a rule, but it's pretty typical. As long as the work's done within 12 months, the inspector comes back, reviews it was done properly. As long as it's done properly, the money is non-repayable. And in the case here, you can see they got this letter from the funding agency saying they've been approved. And once the inspector, signed off on it, the check came to them. And obviously, Rob and Alicia look very happy. They're having what's called a free money moment. and our goal in my office is to create lots of free money moments, Jeff, and help people have those. And the key is this. You can't take the grant check and go instead on a family vacation around the world. The money has to be used for the intended purpose, i.e., in their case, there's a renovation work they did on the property they're fixing up. And as long as the inspector approves it, it's great. But if you misuse the funds, you probably won't get a grant ever again, at least from that funding agency. And again, they're below average. Now, as you know, Jeff, we have to disclose what our average client gets. Those are the rules of the marketing world. And so my average client, $25,707 is the exact amount my average client's got. And I've gone back to the very beginning. And these come in. We've got a filing cabinet in my office full of these. And that's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
And some of our clients get multiples. Multiples could be 2, 5, 8, 10, 20 or more. Debbie here, a real estate investor, and came to me for help. And basically, thanks so much for opening my eyes to grants. I've come to realize that grant money is there to help people. I've received 2 grants in the past few months. Thanks for encouraging me and responding to my questions. What she means by that is I do a lot of help to help my clients out, and therefore I just really nudge them along. If they get stuck, they can get help from me. So multiple grants. We get clients getting a grant a month in some cases. Some of them get 2 or 3 grants a month. Some of them 2 or 3 grants a year. Here's the definitions, Jeff. Basically, free money comes in 3 different forms. Grant money is given to you. You don't pay it back. Loan money, we're talking not bank loans. We're talking government loans. Very low interest, often as low as 0%. And oftentimes, these are forgiven, which means you get the loan as long as you do a certain thing, like in one case, live in the house for 3 years. If it's a home acquisition loan, the money is not paid back at all. It's actually forgiven. So a loan can be forgivable. These are very common in education, like I mentioned earlier. You can actually have student loan debt completely discharged. We've helped a lot of our clients have their student loans eliminated. And people have those things follow them around for years, which is kind of interesting. I saw on the news yesterday, or maybe it was 3 days ago, time flies, some of the members of Congress have over $100,000 in student loans. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That is. And, Chris, those grants are out there because I know in my market they have grants for teachers and police officers. And basically they can get into a home for $1 down. And there's this one police chief that went out and bought like 20 houses with $1 down. He rented them all out. However, the provision was that you could not rent the property out. You had to live in them. Well, he got busted, got like 10-year jail sentence. But the point I'm trying to make is you're absolutely right. Those grant programs are out there.
If you get busted for what? That's a question, I guess. But police chief, you said. That's interesting.
Yeah, interesting, huh?
Well, there's a whole other webinar there, I guess. But well, with the grant money, you're not going to get busted. That's for sure. But just don't misuse the funds, and I can't stress that enough.
Exactly.
But you're right. You're talking about the Good Neighbor program. Police officers, teachers, firefighters, ambulance drivers. It's a program through Housing and Urban Development, and it works like a lottery. You basically enter your name. A ton of our clients have got these. They're half price of current market value houses that are purchased through HUD, and the rule is, yes, you have to live there. And that's pretty interesting for a period of 3 years. That's all designed to make those professionals get more affordable housing. And right now, HUD's got a ton of properties, so the likelihood of getting one of those has actually increased dramatically the last couple of years. So we got grants, we got loans, we got subsidies. These are very interesting. They're very common in, if you want to get employees. Now, Jeff, you got a lot of employees that work for you. I do, in my case. A lot of people do. And this can help you offset your overhead costs as far as payroll goes, because that can be a lot of money. And every government level is trying to encourage businesses to hire more people because of the obvious unemployment problem in the country right now. So these can be for everything from employees to equipment, even to equipment acquisition, advertising costs, and in many cases, subsidized real estate. Well, one example, an obvious example there is Section 8. And that can be a great program if you know how to use it properly. And we've got a lot of our clients who take advantage of that program right there. But that's just one of many different subsidies that are out there. And so those are the three kinds of free money. Now let's talk about the two problems that hold people back. Then we'll go through the solutions here, and I'll show you all kinds of great resources. So problem number one is people get confused by the process. They're not sure how to begin, how to start, what to do first, where to go. And it's, you know, those tens of thousands of programs, like that proverbial needle in a haystack. How do you find that perfect program for you? Don't worry about that. I'm going to show you how in about 2 minutes. So the second problem, before I show you how to find the program for you, the second problem is the application process overall. People sometimes make silly mistakes. They forget to sign the form, believe it or not, or they use the wrong color ink. It says use blue ink. They sign in black ink. Or it says submit 3 copies of your grant application. They send in only 1 application. Guess what? Now is not the time to save a tree. If they say send in 3 copies, send in 3 copies. My number one comment here for grant applicants is instructions are not suggestions. Jeff, they're instructions. They should be followed exactly perfectly. Reread them about 3 times. I always do an original, like a practice application. One of the many things that my clients have me do for them is I actually have them send me their grant application before they send it to the government. And in at least half the cases, I will find a mistake they made that they didn't even realize they made that would have got them disqualified. And so therefore,
you basically hold their hand and help them get these grants, huh? That's awesome.
You know, I find in today's world, Jeff, I know you find the same thing, that people don't want to have to go through all the work themselves to learn how to do it themselves. They want to just show me once or twice, and once you show me how, make my life easy, I get it. And that's how people are nowadays. They want the shortcut, the path to getting stuff. And so I've just learned, make it easy for people. Just show them how to do it. And that's why I'll actually help them with their business plans. In many cases, I'll help them with their application forms. I actually do research for some of my clients to make their life easy. So, I mean, you want to have that in today's world, because we're all busy too, and therefore, you know, I'm the same way. I like to have the shortcut myself. So, you know, once you've got this 1-2 combination down pat, that's when free money flows in multiple times. You can get multiple grants 2, 3, 4 times a month. My best case in point is this one right here. Wendy, I love this story because she's a single mom. Daughter wants to go to college. Wendy cannot afford it because her income is being self-described as being lousy. And Wendy comes to me for help, kind of in a panic, saying, my daughter wants to go to college, please help. I said, Wendy, don't worry about it. I found for her about 4 dozen grants and scholarships her daughter could qualify for. She was blown away by the fact there was that many. She thought there was maybe 2 scholarships her daughter could apply for. The fact I gave her 4 dozen, she was just amazed by that. And after about 2 months, I followed up with Wendy, found out that she's only applied for 22 of the programs I gave to her so far. I said, well, so what's going on? She says, Chris, half of those 22 have not been approved. So if you figure out what I just said there, the other half obviously were. Those 11 that were approved paid for everything, a complete free degree. tuition, room, board, books with only a 50% success rate. Now, my clients have much better than 50% success rate, by the way. But of the 11 that were approved so far within just 2 months, it's already free. Wendy calls me up about 2 months later and says, Chris, how do I stop the money? I said, what do you mean? She says, I still have only applied for 22 of them, but several more past those original 11 have now been approved since I last spoke to you. Does my daughter have to keep on going to college once she graduates to use up all the money?
She needs some more kids, Chris.
Well, that could be the case. But I actually said to her, no, Wendy, you can turn it down if you want to. And what's funny, Jeff, is a lot of my clients actually they actually get so much money approved, they have to turn it down. You can't.
You know, the crazy thing is Wendy Lee is actually one of my students also. So that's I know who Wendy Lee is. And the amazing thing about this, Chris, is, a lot of people think that, well, if my kid doesn't get a scholarship, then we can't afford to send them to college. Well, that's not true, because you just showed right here how using different government grant programs, you can get your college education paid for.
And what's kind of fun is, you might recall about 2 years ago, there's this young kid, and he was not young, he's young. When you're in your mid-40s like I am now, I call a 20-year-old young. But, he was graduating from high school, going up to college. He applied for and was approved for $1.3 million in scholarships.
Wow.
And he was on CNN, and they asked him, why'd you do this? And he said, well, I was showing people how much money's out there. He didn't use hardly any of it. He used a little bit of it, but he turned most of it down. And that's interesting. Let's keep on trucking along here. I've got a lot of ground to cover and show the people here. So I just want to make a point. The multiple grants, there's a lot that are out there. So I want you to write down this website here. This is actually a great starting point for most new grant researchers, which includes everyone in the webinar right now. Now, don't log off this webinar. You'll lose your connection. You'll not get back on, because I think we're full up and all the lines are gone. So write this down, and after we're done, go look at it then. CFDA.gov. Now, .gov, it's legitimate. It's not there's all kinds of crazy free money misinformational sites out there, but CFDA.gov is a legitimate government website. Stands for the Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance. You don't have to write that down. Just write down CFDA. When you go there, you can actually do a search by category, for example, housing or business or education, or you can do look at different programs in different areas, etc. Basically, it's a listing of all federal government grant programs. There's a couple thousand that are on there, and what you'll find is if you enter some keywords and do a search, it'll pull back some results for you. And basically, you might have a few or a few dozen results depending on how you do your search. For example, if you type in residential energy upgrades as one example, and a program comes back called the Residential Weatherization Assistance Program, that's an example of the wording is going to sound right for you. It's going to have a name of a program that'll make sense to you. And therefore, click on the program and read up all the details. There's 3 things you're looking for, and this is my point. When you're doing a search on this website, 3 things you're looking for is the name of the program, the purpose of why the government created the program, and who or what's being targeted for the money. So name, purpose, target. Name is, like I just described, the name of the program is going to sound like it makes sense for you. Click on it, open up the program, and read the details. It's going to say why the government created the program, what the purpose is. Now, your needs are obvious. You need the money. So it's not because you need the money they're going to give it to you. They're going to give you the money not because you need it, but because they, the government, have got a problem. That's why the government does it. You heard me right. The government has a problem. You might say the government has a problem. The government's got a lot of problems. How can they solve the problem is the reason they create the money. That's why they create grant programs, is to reduce unemployment, to spur on real estate, to reduce energy consumption, to create jobs, to get the population educated. These are all problems government has. If you are doing something to help them in their goal, they're going to give you the money. So if you're creating jobs, in other words, reducing unemployment, they're going to give you money to help with that. And that's the whole idea. So if your needs are in alignment with the purpose of the government, Jeff, am I confusing people, or does this all make sense?
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
That's the whole reason they do it. So you just want to make sure you're in alignment with that purpose. Now, target is a certain demographic: minorities, elderly, investors, homeowners, or veterans, for example, or geographical target. Let me give you an example of a real example here. The Rural Housing Service helps people buy newer used housing. targeting rural housing development. So the purpose of this program is to help people to buy new or used housing. It's done through the Rural Housing Service, which is a subsidy of HUD, and the target is not in downtown New York or Los Angeles or Chicago, in a rural outside setting. You might say, well, are there programs in urban areas? Yes, there are tons. This is just an example of a real program I wanted to show you. A lot of people watching the webinar right now are calling in or dialing in or watching from a rural location. Here is another example. This one here is for some entrepreneurs who are on the line right now. Probably about half the people watching the webinar right now are going to get really excited when I show this next one, Jeff. This one here is for a particular type of entrepreneur. It is for our female entrepreneurs. And the Women Business Ownership Program is designed to fund women business development centers all across the nation, which in turn provide counseling, support, training, and help to female business owners and cash grants, which is pretty interesting. So targeting, of course, women entrepreneurs. Now, you might say, how can the men get involved? Because men, we've just alienated half the audience here. So the men can get involved in this program, not with surgery or wearing a dress. That's the good news. How you get involved in this program is you go into business with a woman. She must be 51% owner or more. So it could be your spouse, but as long as she's got the majority control. Jeff, you've met my wife, Nikki. You know her. She's she runs our business for us. She runs all of our companies. So she's a majority control of our companies. That opens up these programs to my wife and I. And therefore, it can be the same for you. The average grant currently paid out, $75,000. I think you'd agree that that's a worthwhile endeavor to look at right there. Let's keep on going, shall we?
Let's do it.
Focus on some real estate programs specifically here to show you the kinds of opportunities. Now, the government needs to reduce energy costs, the energy demands across the country. So houses, especially older properties, have got low standards for insulation, doors, and windows. A lot of programs exist federally and locally to improve doors and windows and insulation, giving you thousands of dollars of rebates or grant money to pay for those energy upgrades. We also see it now in commercial properties. Good example there. This is the client of mine, Lauren, received 2 different federal grants. He got this a couple years ago now, but he got the Home Energy Assistance Program, which gets renewed every year. So there's actually a 2012 version of that and a 2013 version next year. There's also the 81.042. That's actually the CFDA number. If you wonder what that number is, that's the CFDA number, the Weatherization Assistance Program. So he got basically help to offset his costs on utility costs and weatherization upgrades. And therefore, the good thing about energy upgrade grants is they're the gift that keeps on giving. Because not only do you get cash up front to offset your cost of doing the upgrade, sometimes pays for the entire thing, sometimes about half the cost, but you can reduce your energy bill by about 40% a month, which over time saves you a ton of cash. We also see people getting things like low-flow toilets and in certain jurisdictions. I had one client who got 600 toilets for free installed by the plumber in her apartment building, reduced her, so the cost of doing it to her was $0, but her water bill was cut by $5,000 a month less.
Wow.
On big apartment buildings. I mean,
that's huge.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like $60,000 a year in savings on her water bill. Amazing stuff. Down payment programs, these exist often from the county, often from the state, to help people get into home ownership. You cannot have owned real estate in the last 3 years to qualify for these programs. We've got a lot of clients who are getting those currently. Rebates, these are, some jurisdictions will give you a rebate just for buying a property. And they're not advertised. People don't know about them. In fact, one of my own employees went to the city in which she bought her house and asked about a rebate. Every person she asked about rebates from the city told her there's no such thing. Now, here's something I want you to write down in your notes if you're watching right now. Well, of course you're watching right now, but write this down in your notes, which is there's nobody inside the government who knows everything about the government. They all know a little bit about their particular thing that they do, their particular job. So my student asks the city hall client people there, the ones that are at the front counter, about rebates. They all tell her there's no such thing. She finally asked a smart question. which was, thank you very much, who might know more about this? And they brought a guy out from the back who scratched his head, and he went back and came back a minute later, handed her a form and said, fill us out. She said, well, what is that? He says, we're going to do some checking, but as long as you bought the house within the last 12 months here in the city, we'll give you a rebate for $15,000. So she, of course, filled it out, handed it back to him, and here's what he said to her. By the way, he said, you're the first person to ever apply for this rebate here in the city. And she said, well, no one knows you have these. I've asked everyone at the front counter here. He says, you know what? Come to think of it, you're right. I'm the only one that knows we have these, and I forgot we had them until you asked. Which is why he was scratching his head.
Wow.
And the one thing I've learned about grants, Jeff, is don't try to apply a logic to it. Sometimes it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but the money's out there and it's real. I want to talk about some of the rehab grants because these are quite interesting for a lot of your clients who do the rehabbing and fixing up a deal. A lot of great properties out there right now. If you like to buy and fix up, you get a lot of money out there. I'm going to give you 3 case studies. Here's a real estate investing client who came to me for help, and she's got 4 single-family houses. With my help, we applied to the county for her for 2 different grants to get the cash to pay for the 4 houses renovations. And they both got approved in about 2 months, which is pretty much average. And it paid for roofing, flooring, doors, windows, painting, and just a combination of stuff. 2 grants totaling $27,000. Otherwise, would have had to come out of her pocket. And as Carol says here, it's not cost me one thin dime. Thanks for teaching about the grants that are available, how to make it happen. So that's great. And so that's one example there. This next example I'll show you, so that's single-family properties. This next example is a multi-unit property, their very first multi-unit property they ever purchased. And I'll let them actually tell you in their own words, by way of a short video. They were so excited when they saw me. About a month after I told them about the grant programs that they can qualify for, they got the grant approved in 3 weeks. They saw me. I had my video camera there. Here's what they had to say. Their name is Kim and Fred Hooper. Here they are.
Hi, Chris. It's Kim and Fred Hooper. Just wanted to say thanks. Thanks to your program, we just received a $16,000 grant.
And brand new multifamily we just bought. We got all kinds of upgrades done to it, free of charge, all grant money, new windows, painting. Place looks great. Thank you very much. I can't wait to buy my next property.
So again, it's all in the name of reducing your costs that you'd otherwise have to shell out of your own pocket. And that's why my clients, Jeff, typically get, 30 upwards of even 100% greater profit on every deal that they do when they incorporate the grant into their deal making, because they might not get a grant on every single property, but it can help them get a lot of the grant money as well. Here's a federal grant for $26,000 from HUD for Beverly, new windows, porches. So this is their own home. So you're looking at rental properties. On the first slide was Carol, multi-unit properties with Kim and Fred there. And here's Beverly, who basically was a non-believer. There's no grant money, didn't believe it. It wasn't until we kind of coaxed her into applying, got a grant on her own property. Very happy indeed. So she says, I did it. I'm proof it can be done. I think that everyone listening right now, as long as you follow through, you'll get a grant as well. There's also other areas, for example, historical properties. California, Jeff, you're based out of California. There's over 15,000 properties in California that qualify for grant money, and that's pretty awesome. And that's where you get the grant money to fix up these historical properties, commercial properties, and more. And therefore, that's kind of interesting. Let's actually, Jeff, just really quickly, because I know that you're getting people that are wondering about educational grants. I'm going to talk about this briefly because I know it's not real estate related, but a lot of people who are doing deals, real estate investors, want to get some educational costs covered. But when I come back after about 2 minutes of this, I'm going to show people how they can use business funding programs, business grants, in other words, to fund their real estate deals. And I think people find that's a huge insight. So like I mentioned at the top there, we're on track to put 1,000 kids through college for free. And we're well on our way. There's money for all kinds of things, everything from preschool to private school. One of my clients last year, $35,000 for 2 teenage boys. Athletic scholarships, academic scholarships, you name it, business. Even if you went to school years ago, you want to go back and get some extra credits or degrees, etc., there's money for you as well. Every area of education, there is grant money. Even the area of foreign studies, I had a client receive $65,000 just to go to Germany for an entire year, all expenses paid just to learn German. She's doing some translation work. She came back from that. I asked her what she was doing next. She says, I'm doing it again. She reapplied, got a second $65,000 grant, went to France. I've had all kinds of interesting grant stories. And what I'm excited about is the people who are on the webinar right now, Jeff, when they follow through, they get a grant, they'll be blown away by how it can really impact their profitability, their life, all kinds of different ways. But what I like to do is I like to actually hear about it. So if you're watching right now, I make a note. When you get your very first grant, let Jeff know. Let me know. Tell us how much money you got. Take a picture of you holding the check and send it to us. Send us a video. We love to get the success stories. And I know, Jeff, you'd be thrilled to hear how many of your clients, based on this webinar, get a grant just by following through this information. I know a lot of people will, and I look forward to getting that success as well. And here's a couple typical examples. This here is an example of, pretty straightforward. This is Eileen with her son, and he applied, got multiples, again, multiple grants, $25,000 from the college, so it's a private college grant there, plus a $5,800, so a small one from the federal government, plus another $4,500 in 0% forgivable loan, federally as well. Total bill for tuition, room and board, thanks to Eileen Schwartz. Now, this next example here is a great example of the kinds of money you can get for education. Glenn, he went to a foundational grant, got $80,000 approved. On top of that, the university gave him $138,000 for his son. Didn't cost his wife and him anything to get this money. It's almost $250,000 approved there. He had to turn half the money down because he didn't need half the money. It really, everything's already paid for. So, these kind of success stories are very common for my clients. It's pretty interesting. So whatever kind of grant you get watching this webinar right now, when you follow through on this information in the next couple of weeks or month or two, just shoot Jeff and I an email and just tell us about your success, because we'd love to hear about them. Here is Rochelle.
Thanks, Chris. With your help, we were able to wipe out over $37,000 of my mother's student loans. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to do it. Thanks so much.
This one, I love this example because, student loan debts are burdensome and hold people back, and can really be, just so hard to make the budget balance nowadays for a lot of families. And so people that come to us for help with student loan debts, we can in many cases get them totally discharged as well, and that's kind of fun as well. So in her case, $37,000. We've helped more people get more than that discharge as well. So hopefully you're enjoying the webinar so far. We're at the halfway point, and really briefly, I want to talk about something. Jeff, this is something that you asked me to do, and so I'll introduce this right now. You told me that your clients like free stuff, and so here's what I'm going to do for your viewers right now.
And I want everybody to remind everybody that I did tell Chris that my clients love free stuff, and at the end of the call, Chris is going to go over step by step how you can get his powerful grant money course for free. Okay, so make sure you stay on that call to the end, and we're going to show you how to get that for free. So go ahead, Chris, if you would.
I'm not just about free money, Jeff, but all kinds of free stuff too. So what the grant locator is, real briefly, is I actually go into a sound studio every month and talk my head off. And my very qualified, skilled sound guy will clean it up, a nice smooth sound recording, professional recorded, edited. And I also interview several clients a month. I pick the best ones who received grant money that month. And with their permission, I record them. And we put together a audio program and newsletter, which my clients subscribe to, called the Grant Locator. And I mail them the recording and the newsletter for people to get continuing education, brand new announcements, cutting edge stuff on grants, new programs that were just announced, so you can be the first one to apply for it, and learn from my students by listening to them talk about their experience, what they went through in programs they applied for, all kinds of great tips. So this program does have a price. It does cost $79 per month. That's the cost of the program, plus taxes, plus shipping, plus. That's my cost. And so that's what people pay. But Jeff told me you like free stuff. So at the end, I'm going to tell you how you can get a couple of months of this for free. So hang on tight. I'll talk more about that. Something else I want to talk about is my classes I teach called Free Money University, because people often ask me, Chris, how is it you actually, get in front of clients and work with them and help them and teach them? There's a number of things that I do. One of the things that's most popular, one of the most popular things is my live training classes I do. They're 2-day classes. Jeff, you've been to them. They're called Free Money University.
Yeah.
In which I'll spend 2 full intensive days going through the complete A to Z of how to get free money. I teach them myself in person. I go through top to bottom. We fill the application forms right there in the class. You will leave class with application forms in your hand. You will leave the class with business plans, etc., real estate plans, you name it. And within a couple of weeks or a month or so, the grant money that my clients who are in that class start to get is amazing. I do these classes typically a few times a year. I used to do more of them a couple of years ago, but I'm kind of slowing down now, but I still do several a year. Major cities typically, and people love them. And I love to share this next example because this is actually a client of mine named Richard, who got so excited on the first morning break. This is actually him. We're on a break there in the background. You can see him there. And he's so excited. I get him to calm down. I said, Richard, why are you you're almost hyperventilating. What's going on? And he said, because of the stuff you're teaching, this is mind-blowing. I've never seen this before. I said, Richard, why don't you please tell my viewers in your words what you're experiencing? Let me play this quick little video here. It's really amazing what what Richard has to say. And here's Richard at Free Money University.
Hi, my name is Richard Oliver. This seminar has been absolutely great. I mean, Chris Johnson just showed me just in the past hour how I could possibly make $2 to $7 million that I can use for my investment prospects and turn that into literally $30 to $40, $50 million in return on investment. So I can't say anything enough about thanking Chris for what he's done. It's been a great seminar. He's provided so much information for everybody in the room, and we're looking forward, and it's just the first 4 hours. So I can't imagine what the next day and a half is left got to do, what else he's going to provide for us. So thank you, Chris. Thank you for everything you've done. And I'm looking forward to making a lot of money. Just like you said, this is a stepping stone to the wealth. And I thank you.
So
awesome.
imagine, say again, Jeff?
I said, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fun. And we do surveys, and we always get 10s out of 10, a lot of times 15, 20 out of 10s. I don't know how you get more than 10 out of 10, but people often give us that. Love it, but I should actually track the grant money as a result of the class. I haven't actually tracked that, but I know it's in the multiple millions of dollars. But the classes do cost money. They do cost $2,000 per person. That's $1,000 a day. It's about $100 an hour. Totally worth it because, again, if you're my average client, you're getting $25,707 within about 2 months, roughly, on a $2,000 investment. But again, back with you want me to give your clients some free stuff. I've got several tickets, Jeff, to upcoming classes that I'll make available to some of the lucky viewers on the webinar right now. Not everybody, but some of them. And
Sounds awesome.
At the end of this webcast, I'm going to tell you watching right now how you can actually get free tickets to an upcoming class that I teach. So you get the grant locator, free CDs, you get the Free Money University, free classroom tickets. Keep watching, and I'll tell you about that in a couple of minutes. Last year, I started doing some new Jumpstart training classes, which are smaller training classes. Not if people can't commit to the 2-day class. I actually have 3-hour condensed formats as well, and I do those all the time, and that's pretty fun. So here's actually some business money. So now in the world of business, the government's going through some changes right now. They're changing all the 6 different agencies down to one centrally located place. BusinessUSA.gov is the new website that's taking over from, for example, SBA, the Small Business Administration, and other sources. But you'll find that it's basically the same money, just funneled through a different portal. Business USA, great website to go to. It's being developed weekly and monthly, and it's getting improved all the time. But you'll find that they've got grants, they've got loans, they got subsidies through the SBA. My clients have gotten all of those, all kinds of great programs there. There's also the USDA offers grants. One of my clients received $100,000 from NASA, Space Shuttle, NASA, $100,000 for his business. There's all kinds of different government jurisdictions, not just the SBA, that offers the money. Your state, so whatever state you're from, they offer grant money, huge incentive. You'll see a tab for business on every state's website. Click on that, and you'll follow the link through to your business funding that's in your state. Now, the counties, the cities, every kind of business. You could be a real estate investor. You could be a small mom-and-pop shop. You could be a home-based business. You could be a contractor. There could be cash for buying equipment, for paying for vehicles, computers, you name it, paying for employees and staff, all designed to create more business growth and economic stimulation across the country. We've got a lot of our real estate investing clients who not only get the real estate grants, but also get the business grants for the real estate business. Here's a good example of one. This is a California example, Maritza. $30,000. Took her 3 weeks to get that money. From submitting the application form, 3 weeks later, got the grant money. Fantastic for her real estate business. Patrick here is a client of mine who keeps going back to the well. He actually told me how he got not only the real estate grants for his business, real estate investing business, but also the business grant. Now, he applied for and received $50,000 on his very first application. Several years later, he's received several $100,000 through the same program. He keeps going back to the same program over and over again. He established a track record. They know who they're dealing with. They know that he's going to follow through and use the money properly. They'd rather give the money to a repeat customer because they find that if you establish a track record, it gets easier and easier to get the money going forward over time. And that's something that we see a lot with our clients. Now, I show you how not to sound like a newbie. I show you how to sound like an experienced grant applicant when you apply. Using the right lingo, the right language, saying the right things, talking to the right person. It's very, very important when you apply for grants. And I help you do this as well. And that's pretty interesting. So that's pretty exciting. We get over 1 million people across the U.S. right now. Not my clients, but in total. 1 million people receive business grants alone. When you add to that the education and the real estate, over 20 million people every year in the United States alone receive grant money. And the reason I say in the United States alone is, Jeff, I'm not sure how many people in the webinar right now are from outside the U.S., but if you've got Canadians, Canada has grants, Australians, New Zealanders, Englanders, wherever your clients are watching from right now, Jeff, I know it's in the midnight or 2 in the morning wherever they're watching if they're on the other side of the world right now, but every developed country in the world has grant money, not just the USA as well. But in the U.S. alone, 20 million people, when you combine it with not just the business, which is 1 million, but the real estate and education, receive grant money. That's pretty awesome. So, Jeff, a lot of information here. I know people are taking notes furiously. You get a lot of great comments and feedback already on this. Why don't I share with your viewers how I can make their life easy?
That sounds great. Let's do
my
it.
research I've done. Okay, so let me go through, because I've actually taken approximately about $500,000, give or take, of my cash, my own money, and I've hired research staff, and my research staff work diligently. They pour through, the government resources, federal programs, state programs, all the way on down to the local cities and counties all across America to find all the programs, the ones that are available right now today in real estate, education, and business that have the least amount of red tape, the fastest turnaround time. And we've poured through this for years, in fact, and I've put together an incredible amount of resource information for the people on this webcast right now to help them to get ahead in all this, including the name of the person to contact in a particular funding agency that you want to apply to, their phone number, their name, their email address. Jeff, let me show your viewers right now what I've got for them. The very first program I put together is my free money for real estate course program manual. This one here, I go through literally hundreds of programs for real estate investors. I teach people how to get free money in all kinds of areas. For example, buying real estate, paying for down payments, closing costs, rehab, development, houses for as cheap as $1, the Dollar Home Program, the first timers, the Good Neighbor Program like you were mentioning earlier, teachers, police officers, firefighters, ambulance drivers, There's for-profit programs, non-profit programs, multifamily homeownership, state programs, much, much more. The audio program that accompanies the manual, I go through and explain in great detail the programs, how they work, how you apply, what you do, etc. All kinds of tips, suggestions, etc. This program manual, we actually retail this for $1,000 to our clients. It's awesome. You want to get that as a real estate investor. My Free Money for Education course program manual. Again, anybody who's currently going to college, university, or plans to is maybe already graduated, a student loan debt's hanging over their head. This program here is going to show you how not to have to pay for it. Basically, a free education. Federal, state, local money, grants, scholarships, fellowships, every kind of free education money there is, all the way and down, the state programs, even the outside the government programs, the audio program. I've had clients literally just listen to the first 2 tracks on my audio program and receive over $20,000 by doing a couple simple things. I teach them the website to go to, how to apply, and get it approved like that. It's amazing. It's very results producing. My Free Money for Business course program manual, this one here, is for our entrepreneurs of the world. Whether you're a real estate entrepreneur or otherwise, this one here gets you the free money for your business. In fact, in here I show you how to get SBA programs, all other kinds of programs, one-stop capital shop. We actually have raised, again, millions in just business funding for our clients, not just the loans, but also the grants and subsidies as well. The audio program, again, walks you through the manual, hundreds of programs, etc. as well. My 3 manuals basically corners what I call the 3 legs of the stool. In other words, the triangle, as you were, of the grant world. These are the 3 main areas of grant funding. And most people in the webinar right now could easily identify probably at least 2, if not all 3 of those areas for somebody that they're thinking of. So yourself, your kids, your grandkids going to college, etc., your own real estate deals. People often say, Chris, where do I start? The real estate manual or the business manual for my real estate deals, or the CDs? Where should I get started? I put together a very simple, comprehensive, step-by-step, what to do first, what to do second, what to do third, program manual to make your life very easy. This step-by-step how to apply course program manual shows you where to zero in on all the various sources of money quickly and easily, how to fill out the forms, how to ask the right questions, how to get to the right source. The audio program teaches you how to ask the right questions. Again, walks you through the entire process, beginning until end, step by step. So my entire free money system is all 4 manuals, all 4 CDs. Now, each program manual is $1,000. It retails in total cost for $4,000, and that's pretty awesome. You're probably thinking there must be some kind of a grant to offset that cost. If you ask that question, you'd be right. I'll tell you about that in a second here, because Jeff, because you asked me, you actually are a pretty good arm twister, and you told me how you want your students to get the best deal. You want your clients on the webinar to get the best offer. And you leaned on me pretty heavy. So I'm going to make an incredible offer for your clients here before I'm done. So
no, Chris, this is the free money system, so I want them to be able to get it for free.
Well, I got to feed myself too, Jeff. But we'll find a way here to make it so irresistible at your clients. It'll be such a no-brainer by the time I'm done here. You'll see it's amazing. And here's the first thing I'll do, Jeff. This is something that I haven't done before. This is brand new. For anybody watching the webinar who's perhaps seen me give a lecture before, whether a webinar or even speaking live, you'll recognize this as being something you've never seen before. I actually have just launched recently a live 7-week online training. Basically, I take my Free Money University class online. And therefore, if you don't have the 2 days to spare to travel somewhere and attend a live class, you want to do it 1 hour a week and break it up into small bite-sized chunks. These are 7 one-hour weekly webinars. I teach live in a detailed and comprehensive way how to quickly identify the programs which are right for you and successfully apply for to receive this money. It's an implementation program. It's not about me selling you my materials and letting you figure it out on your own. It's about me holding your hand as I walk you through the entire process. Let me describe this 7-week webinar, Jeff. I got some bullet points here to make sure I don't miss anything and leave anything out. And so basically, here's what you're going to get over the 7 weeks. I'm going to show you several dozen easy-to-apply for sources of funding, walk you through the entire application process from beginning to end, show you many different ways to get free money for your business, whether it's an existing business or to launch a brand new one, real estate or a conventional business. Teach you dozens of strategies and thousands of ways to get a post-secondary education paid for, including all 4 techniques to discharge those student loan debts. Discuss 8 ways at least to use government funding. I'll show you probably 3 dozen, but I'll show you at least 8 ways to get government funding for real estate investors and homeowners. And also, I'll give you examples in each case of my actual students who've done each of those, so you see exactly what I'm talking about as I go through the webinar. Additionally, we'll explore dozens of online and offline resources. So I'll actually take you live online. I'll show you how to download the application form, how to apply online in real time, which is pretty cool. I'll show you how to write a winning business plan, which is necessary to get the business funding that you need. It's actually quite easy when I show you how to do it. Most people are intimidated by business plans. There's 10 mistakes that almost everybody makes, but my students don't because of something that I'll show you. And also the 12 must-know rules to succeed every single time. The reason my clients get such a high success rate is because of those 10 and 12 things I'll show you in the webinars, and how you can quadruple your cash flow for your business using other types of government money, which is pretty interesting as well, and how to ask the questions properly so you're a good communicator with the government. I mean, these are action-packed, loaded, full-on. We usually go past an hour because there's so much stuff to teach you. And I'm going to limit it, Jeff, to 17 people who take action at the end of this webinar. And the reason I'm going to limit it to 17 people is because I take questions during the webinar. You can actually ask me questions, and because of that one thing there, the questions I take, I have to limit because I can only focus on a few questions at a time. And therefore, the webinar, I'm going to limit this to a few people. The value of the webinar is $3,000 for all 7 of them. Plus, I email you detailed notes and worksheets from every class. And on top of that, I'll take the Q&A time, which is quite honestly priceless because I can actually answer your specific questions live. And on top of that, I'll give you a recording of each webinar so you can listen to them over again on your computer or iPod. Total value here is huge, over $4,500 in value of just the webinar alone. And
you know, Chris, the beautiful thing about this is that you get to do this from the comfort of your own home. That's awesome.
It is from your pajamas at night without having to shave or you know, you get comfortable. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we get a lot of great feedback. Here's Tom, $100,000 in less than 7 days. $100,000 doesn't come easily, but the sound direction your program provided, it wasn't that difficult. That is not an uncommon quote I get. Here is $245,000 for Abby. It took her more than 7 days. It took Abby more than normal. Normal 2 months. It took her about 3 months. But if it took you 4 or 5 months to get $250,000 to get the money to buy your properties, see what Abby did here was a technique that I taught her. Abby, you can use business funding to get the money to buy the building with. She didn't believe me. I showed her how to do it. Boom. Another one of my clients, I got him a $500,000 business grant to buy his business. And there's all kinds of things a person can do here. It's kind of fun. Here's Gene. I love this example, Jeff, because Gene's been buying real estate for over 30 years. He's been doing deals for decades. He's never used grants, ever. I was giving a lecture. He was in the audience. He says, grant money. That sounds interesting. Let's try it out. And a few months later, I bump into him in a hallway in a hotel. And he says, oh, Chris Johnson. I said, yes. He says, you may not remember me. I was in a lecture of yours a couple months back, and that free money program of yours, it works pretty good. I said, well, thanks very much. I know, but tell me your experience. And so I got a little video of Gene here explaining what happened to him and his wife's business in just a couple of months of using my program. Here's Gene as a result of becoming a client of mine.
Chris, just want to let you know how thankful we are to invest in your program. We've gotten a total of 2 real estate grants for multifamily properties and 1 to help my wife set up her business, totaling somewhere about $135,000. We could not have done it without your program. It's so thorough, such education to us, and we certainly do appreciate it. And I certainly have spoken many times about what you've done to others. Thank you so much.
So that's a good example there of just taking advantage of the opportunity and showing what's out there. And so it's fun to get these kinds of examples. Jeff, here's the reality. You've got all kinds of clients from, some are doing really well right now. Some are, trying to make ends meet and scrape things together, and maybe some new investors. With your educational programs and systems, et cetera, and what you bring to the table as far as real estate education is fantastic. But when you apply that with the grant money, I mean, it's an amazing transformation that we see our clients have collectively, because they start to get the grant money. So as you're watching this webinar right now, what you're looking at here are just a snapshot, just a scraping of the hundreds upon hundreds of success stories that I get in. I'm getting in sometimes 2 or 3 in a day. People that email me say, "Hey, Chris, thanks a lot." Some are for a few $1,000s, some are for $5,000 or $10,000, some are for over $100,000 or more in some cases, for all kinds of things. Think about your situation. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? If you're a new investor, an experienced investor, single family, multifamily, commercial, getting your kids educated, whatever it might be, there's money out there for you. And so what you're looking at here is just a sampling. I could show you every success story I've had. It would take us the entire 45 minutes or an hour of this webinar to show you all of them. But the reality is this: the money's real, it's out there. And if you are willing to partner up with myself and Jeff here and let us help you, let me work with you individually, we'll get you the grant money. There's no question. It's a matter of just following through and letting me help you out. You can be one of the 20 million Americans that gets grants every year. 20 million people do it. If you're not currently doing it, ask yourself why not. Now, Jeff, you've seen me in live lectures, and I've done this probably, 500 times. I ask a live audience to put up their hand if they've ever gotten a grant. And we see sometimes half the room, sometimes typically about 20% of the room put their hand up. It's never less than 20%, but it's always at least 20% of the room put their hand up. And we're talking some 5 or 10, some 30 or 50, some well over $100,000. And the people who've never gotten a grant are just, they gasp when they see all the hands that get raised. They're realizing, you know what, I'm missing out here. And the reality is, yes, you are missing out. So be part of the 20%. Be part of the population that's getting this grant money. And let me show you how. Let me help you out as well. And so, therefore, I'm going to actually go through some stuff here, which I think you'll be finding pretty cool, so I can make this really a no-brainer for you. Now, let's talk about the monthly CD, which is the grant locator I mentioned earlier, where you can get actually 2 for free. One of the things I noticed when my clients would get access to this monthly audio program and newsletter without becoming my full-fledged client with my home study course is they began to call me and ask for information additionally over and above the monthly audio program. And I just simply told them to refer to page 14 of the real estate manual. It's on page 30 of the business manual. And they were saying things like they didn't actually have the program. And I realized I was spending a lot of my time teaching information in my full course that these monthly subscribers weren't actually having in their possession already. So what I had to do was make a tough decision. I had to say, you know what, you have to be a full-fledged client of mine with my home study materials before I'll let you have access to this monthly grant locator program. So if you're watching right now, I did tell you I'd let you have 2 of these. Here's how you get the 2 free ones, is you become my client, get the whole system. Now when you become my client, you get my entire free money system. I'll give you 2 months for free, and therefore that's pretty awesome. In fact, I'm not going to give you 2 for free. I'll give you 3 for free. The third one being the grant locator, which I'll actually send to you as your very first one. It's confusing because it says third one, but I'll give it to you first. It's going to come with my system, with my free money program manuals and CDs. You'll get the grant locator sent with it. It'll actually come to you right away. I'll rush ship it to you. It'll be inside the box, and therefore, this grant locator is called the Grant Maximizer. That's why it looks a little bit differently. It maximizes 2 things. Number 1, it maximizes your success rate. Number 2 is it maximizes the amount of money that you'll actually get by learning a few key things I teach you on this audio program. And therefore, you can cancel if you want to. You don't have to subscribe to the program. If you wanted to take the 3 free months as a free bonus, absolutely. That is your prerogative. But a lot of my clients love the information so much they want to keep on going. And therefore, if you decide to keep on going past the 3 months of free subscription, I will actually not charge you the normal price of $79 plus tax and shipping. You can subscribe to it if you want to beyond that 3rd month for a flat, all-inclusive, highly discounted half price of only $39 a month. third of the month includes taxes, includes shipping, includes everything. You can still cancel when you want to. It's ongoing month to month, but if you keep on going past 3 months, it's just a flat third of the month for you, and therefore that's the grant locator. Let's talk about my entire free money system next, CDs. Now, the entire system, all 4 manuals, all 4 CDs, as I mentioned earlier, each one's $1,000. That's total value. That's not what you're going to pay, but that's what the total value is, and therefore the entire system is valued at over $4,000. Now, we know that, we understand that, and therefore the value is definitely there because of the fact that when you start getting the typical average grant my client gets within 2 months of $25,000, that's a pretty good return on that investment. Now, Jeff, the first thing is I do have an educational grant available, and the educational grant is an amount of $2,000, which will further reduce this down to only $2,000. And I say only because that's a phenomenal offer, because most of my clients that follow through this information don't just get the one grant. They get the multiple, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes in a year, sometimes 2 or 3 grants per deal that they do. And therefore, that's pretty good. But I'm going to actually make it even better still. And let me talk about a couple things I'm going to do for my clients, I should say for your viewers right now, to make this really a no-brainer for them. Now, you know about the grant locator, which is the 3 months of the audio program for free. I'm going to throw in some applications to get started with. Now, these application booklet will come in with your program. It's valued at $99. I'm going to include that for free. And therefore, the grant locator, the application forms, you get those for free. On top of that, I mentioned earlier my free money university class, which costs $2,000 per person to attend. Now, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to actually include those tickets to whoever becomes my client here and takes advantage of this offer I'm going to make to you here in just a moment, which is the entire system. I'm going to include tickets to Free Money University for free, not just for you, but for you and up to 3 guests. And therefore, that's a total of $8,000 in classroom admittance. And when you're a client for life, which means if you want to reattend, you can reattend as often as you want to. That's Free Money University. My Jumpstart training classes, $1,000, those are free for you as well. On top of that, I have got, some, basically some cost to cover here. So there's the production, there's my staffing, my overhead, my research, my shipping. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to drop this $2,000 price down to basically cover my cost, which is $1,497. I'm going to include my 7 weeks of live webinars, valued at $4,500 for free as well. And therefore, if you cover this $1,497, we're going to have you pay that, discounted down as much as possible. You've got several $1,000s in bonuses. I'm going to do a couple of huge things for you because, Jeff, you wanted me to do some pretty cool stuff for your clients. Number one is I work individually with some high-paid clients of mine. People pay me a lot of money. I charge a fee to work one-on-one with clients of $10,000 a year. That's a nominal fee. People tell me I'm too cheap, but that's my fee. It's unlimited one-on-one help for $10,000. That's what I charge. You can ask me as much as you want. I'll do research for you. I'll help you with your business plans. I'll help you with your application forms, everything. It's amazing. Now, this $10,000 fee, I cannot do it for everyone here. But if you're one of the people that takes action here right now and becomes my client, there's 17 people I'm going to work with. I will include that for free to the first 17 people who take action right now and order the system. And if you do, I'm going to cover the first 1/3 of your payment of $14.97. I'm going to reduce it down further because, Jeff, you asked me to make this an incredible deal, make it better than other people get, so I'm going to do it. And so therefore, don't ask me to do this again because this is a one-time deal. I'm going to limit it to 17 people because of the webinars, because of the Q&A. You're going to get several $1,000s in free training and help and advice, and therefore, I'll pay the first 1/3 off of that and bring it down to $997. And therefore,
wow, that's amazing, Chris, for everything. $997. That's awesome.
Well, it is. When you total it up, it's $9,500 in free training, just the classes and the webinars. And when you add up that plus the person one-on-one help, It's over $25,000 in total value for only $997. Now, grants are the gift that keeps on giving, because what happens is you get this money coming in ongoingly. I'm going to have you go now to the website. It's going to detail everything.
Folks, you can go to www.reigrants.com. That's www.reigrants.com. Get all signed up. You can also call 1-800-574-9221. We do have operators standing by. Those 17 are going to go fast.
In my experience, Jeff, half are already gone. So get on there now. Don't wait. reigrants.com. If you need to, call a phone number, toll-free, 800-574-9221. And go there, and you'll see on the website everything's listed. I've just mentioned it for you. But, Jeff, you know what? Should I make it better?
Can you?
Well, you know what? You asked me to do something just mind-blowing, and I figured I've already done that because, you know, one grant will more than pay for the program. But here's what I'll do. You know, I've got staffing costs, overhead, etc. But we're doing pretty well. We get the grant money in my office. Tell you what, if your viewers who take action right now, this is if you take action right now, you're one of those first 17 people. So if you're number 18, number 19, don't complain, don't hesitate, go now. If you are one of the first 17 people to take action right now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the course for free. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to charge you a deposit. So that $997 fee is not going to be a fee. It's going to be a deposit we charge. I'm going to hold the money. And the reason I'm going to do that, the reason I'm going to give you the money back is because I want to give you my course for free, but not just give it to you for free, because I can stand in the street corner and give stuff away for free all weekend long, all week long, all month long. I mean, I want to give it to you in exchange for something. I want your success story. And if you are willing to let me help you get 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 200, 300, $500,000 of free grant money. Let me help you. I'll walk you through the process. My consulting fee of $10,000 a year is unlimited for free to you. I will work with you. I'll bend over backwards. When I get your success story, all I want you to do is one simple thing. Let me have your success story. Let me share it with the world. Take a smiling photo of you with your grant check or your grant letter awarding you the grant money, or your business partner, or in front of your property or your renovation, whatever it is. Send me a photo of that. Write me a nice testimonial. You can send me a video if you want to. People do all three of those things. In exchange for your testimonial, I'll give you the deposit, the $997 deposit back. So,
so all you're saying, Chris, is all they have to do is go out and get one grant, and you will refund their deposit 100%. Folks, that is truly amazing. Go to www.reigrants.com. Get signed up for this revolutionary program, or you can call 1-800-574-9221. That's 1-800-574-9221. We do have operators standing by. Hey, Chris, really fast, could you summarize everything they're going to be receiving with your government grant program here?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Jeff. I mean, it's all the manuals, all 4 manuals, all 4 CDs, plus 3 months of the grant locator for free, plus the applications, plus the 7 weeks intensive live webinars, 1 hour for 7 straight weeks. Plus, I'll give you the replays. If you miss 1 or 2, you can watch them on replay. You get the free notes, the downloads. You get free Money University. You get the Jumpstart classes. You get one-on-one help with me worth $10,000. Normally, the course itself by itself is $4,000. We're going to call it a $997 discounted deposit. I mean, it's a refundable deposit. 2 huge guarantees. Guarantee number 1, Jeff, is that together, you and I, we're going to give them a full 30 days to review it, look it over. If it's not the best decision you've made, send it back. No questions asked, 100% money back guarantee for 1 full month. The second guarantee, the double, the whammo guarantee, is this $997 deposit refund I'm going to guarantee it in writing. When you get your box in the mail, you can open it up. The first thing you're going to see on top is a guarantee signed by myself. And it's going to tell you that it's not a month, it's not 6 months to get the refund. It's an entire full year to get that grant. The reason I'll give you an entire year is because it's way more time than you possibly need, but I don't want you to go home and procrastinate. I want you to get started now. With my help, my guidance, my training, my webinar, you'll get the grant. So within one full entire year, show me the proof of that. It's way more time than you need. I'll refund the entire deposit of $997. It gives you everything. It's over $25,000 in training. You see there in the bottom is the website, reigrants.com, or call the toll-free number 800-574-9221. And the operators will take your order. Jeff, I think they're almost gone, if I'm not mistaken here. But
yeah, the orders are coming fast, folks. I mean, you saw all of the success story Chris has. He's got filing cabinets filled with success stories. I've met his students in my travels around the country over the last 5 years, and I tell you what, folks, it's a no-brainer. Get signed up for his program. Go out there, get a grant for your kids or your grandkids' education, for your business, for your real estate business, whatever it may be. I can tell you the grants are out there. We do use grants in my business, okay? One of the things that we do is we sell our properties using that officer-teacher program, and we also use another program that FHA offers, okay, which is in Chris's program here, which enables us to sell our properties for only $5 down. So again, folks, be one of those first 17 people. Get signed up. You're going to get the entire course. You're going to get the 7-week live webinar series, the Free Money University, the Jumpstart training class. And on top of that, Chris is going to mentor you, okay? He is going to help you one-on-one. He'll help you fill the application out for your grants and get you started on the fast track to success. So again, to sign up, folks, you can go to www.reigrants.com. Be one of those first 17 people to sign up, get all the bonuses. You can call 1-800-574-9221. Put that small deposit down today. You go out, get your first grant, and be refunded that deposit. I'm going to guarantee that for Chris. I can tell you, Chris, the stand-up guy, he's been around for 8 years. He's not one of those fly-by-night wannabe gurus that's out there. He is the real deal. He's probably the most in-demand speakers out there right now in America, and he's the real deal. So, again, to sign up, folks, go to www.reigrants.com. You can call 1-800-574-9221. Hey, Chris, I want to thank you for coming on the call here tonight, sharing your powerful information, and truly changing the lives of people all across America.
Hey, you're very welcome, Jeff, and thanks for having me on. And just look forward to working with your first 17 clients who take advantage of this incredible offer. I've never offered everything I've done on this webinar ever before. And to throw in that refund offer for your clients, it makes it a no-brainer. Hopefully it makes it a no-brainer for them. I don't know what else I can do besides give it away for free. I mean, I can come to your house and wash your car, I guess. But
exactly. Okay, good night, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.